I'd like to meet with their superintendents of parks and recreation both, and she says, well, he retired last Friday. and the reason I say that is that, you know, there's, on the maintenance side, as you know, that's where the bulk of the staff are, but the day-to-day, if you know anything about park maintenance, that day-to-day stuff changes constantly. The things we were talking today about locks on doors and where people are stealing our bases out of our, that connect to the concrete from our picnic tables, and the time we had to spend to look at how we have to get the right type of screws to make them theft-proof, which doesn't exist, but how we're going to deal with that problem and how we had some other issues we had to deal with. That's the kind of things that, you know, I enjoy doing. God, I love maintenance. Don't get me wrong, I really enjoy it. But for every hour I spend there, it was pulling me away from an hour that I thought that was not, you know, I think recreation kind of got the short shrift for me in the last 10 months because I wasn't able to give them as much time as I wanted. And so by having Scott shift over to maintenance, and he's gonna be on a fast track, and I'll meet with him and the maintenance staff on a regular basis, and we will slowly bring him into it to the point where you know, he's gonna learn quickly, and he's gonna take over real quickly, and that's gonna free me up to do the things like this park plan that's coming up that we got to deal with, and looking at some of the long-term things. What are we gonna do for a future swimming pool? How do we address the, you know, we're kind of like on a flat plane right now as a district. We're getting a little bit more money in taxes and maybe a little bit more in recreation, but we're not getting the type of revenue coming in to address the big issues that we're facing. You know, we have a fleet that's fallen apart, and we have, you know, I'm not telling you anything you guys don't know, we have buildings that have had deferred maintenance going back so many years that we forgot what deferred maintenance is anymore. And so I really want to invest my time into that so we can really help the district jump forward and start you know, addressing these things instead of waiting for something to hit us again, like a recession, which taxes then go backward again, and now we have to cut and make things. I don't want to do that. I want to put the position of the district in a way that when those tough times come, we're in a good position to weather the storms. And so these changes are going to, I think, are going to benefit everybody. The park side of it, they're going to be invigorated with a new enthusiasm because we're taking some part-time people, and now they can, they're going to be full-time, and I think that's going to be a benefit for the district because now I'm willing to invest in training into these folks because I think they're going to be around. And Mark's got you know, a lot in front of him. Scott's going to have a lot in front of him, and again, it frees up a little bit of time for me to take on kind of the bigger issues of the district. It's not perfect, and we may have to come back and tweak this, you know, as we you know, get into it and we find out maybe what we thought was really wonderful, maybe wasn't so wonderful. But that's like any plan you do. You have to, you make adjustments as you go, as the need presents itself. So I'm sorry for making this such a long presentation, but it's kind of a big deal. It's a different way of managing the organization.
All right. Any more questions?
I want to echo Larry's comment about thanking Scott. It's a big transition for you, Scott, and I really appreciate your acceptance of that. You're a valued member of this district, and we would have hated not for it to work out for you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so now there's multiple parts of this. I don't know if we can do this in one vote or if we have to do, because we have the reorg is one, I mean, that the organization chart, and there's, I mean, I don't know. Can we do it all in one vote?
Well, actually, if you go to the recommendation, there's three parts of the recommendation. So if you go ahead and make that your motion, as each one, I think it covers it all.
You ready, Diane?
Make a motion to approve the proposed reorganization plan, which would become effective July 1, 2015. Approve a new position of recreation coordinator and allow this position to be filled effective May 1st, 2015. And approve a salary scale for the recreation coordinator as presented in our board packet.
Oh, so we are doing it as one.
Is that okay?
No, that was one. No, that's what I said. That's what he said. He had three different things laid out.
Right.
I thought we were doing three different motions,
Or
but if
do
we
you
want
You
to,
can do one motion, can do it all.
that's fine. If
Yeah,
we're
is
doing
that-
one,
is that cool?
that's fine.
Okay.
All right, so we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second. Chairman of the committee, seconded.
All right. The motion and a second. Is there any other discussion? You good? Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Noes? Abstentions? Again, thank you, staff, for all your hard work on this. We do appreciate it. Okay, so now we're going on to the item C, Uniform Public Construction Cost Accounting Act Policy 3140.3.
This is simply bringing the district up to speed with the current bid limits.
Okay. Question? Oh, okay. I was going to say, so where did we get the PowerPoint? Did we just find it online, or
The PowerPoint?
that looks like a
Oh,
PowerPoint?
I printed it, I actually printed, oh, it was like 60 pages long. I just printed the parts that
Okay.
pertain to you, so you can see what the bid numbers are reflect what I'm presenting to you, so you can see what they are.
Controllers, annual fund. Oh, gosh.
Yeah, this is actually, I didn't realize it, but they modify this every 5 years.
Okay.
And the last time we did it was at the tail end of the 5-year period, so we're actually going to adjust this again in probably 2 years.
2 years. Okay. So does anyone have any questions on what we're doing? We're just basically, all right, can I have a motion?
Can I just chime in?
Sure.
I've always been kind of leery of always accepting the lowest bidder on a project. I think that sometimes that lends us not to get the best qualified bidders.
Oh, I totally agree with you.
You know, they skimp on labor costs, they skimp on material, they skimp on benefits that those employees should be getting. I just always have had heartburn about always accepting the lowest bid just because it's the lowest bid and not from a responsible bidder. I understand that these are requirements under the California Uniform Code here. I saw in the report that we've got problems with irrigation systems breaking out in the parks now. And we've had other problems with park equipment over the years of failing. And I don't know if that's attributed to the lowest bidder or if it's just wear and tear and general usage. But is there any way that we can amend our bidding process to include responsible bidder language rather than lowest bid language?
I actually believe that the Cost Accounting Act actually does refer to that. I just took the language that they're using. When you go back to it, it does talk about the lowest responsible bidder.
Okay.
Yeah, unfortunately, this is one of those things where we can't modify it. We either have to opt in or we can opt out of it. But actually, it would still be the lowest responsible bidder.
Okay.
I can't speak to what other projects you had of how those were dealt with in the past, but I've had many times where the lowest or the second lowest bidder didn't get the bid because when we did our due diligence and research and so forth, background, we found out that and you have to go through a little bit of legal process to ensure that, because otherwise you'll get sued if you don't do it properly. But no, we still will go with the lowest responsible bidder.
Okay.
It's not just low bid.
Yeah, I was going to say, just even though we have this, it's just not low bid automatically gets it.
Okay.
There's the-
This document's like about 80 pages long, and it gets
Right.
integrated. I just wanted to pull out the dollar figures just to show you where we are and where we should be.
Okay.
And I didn't anticipate that question would come up, because
I just noticed in the report that we're having problems with Freedom Parks, lines busting and stuff.
Yeah,
I just don't know what
yeah,
to attribute
that's
that to, but I just,
I think, gonna be one that we're gonna have to chase down and see if it's a warranty issue, because I think it's a design flaw.
okay.
No, that's a great point. Thank you. Any other questions? We're all good then? Understand? All right, can I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion, a second. Is there any other discussion? She's not even paying attention.
Not at all.
You're good?
You guys are good. You guys are good.
All right.
I'm following along in the
Okay, that's
PowerPoint.
fine. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? I don't think Mr. Monk voted just then.
Aye.
Okay, thank you.
Wake up, Mr. Monk.
I was talking in my ear.
I'm sorry, I
My ear.
distracted him.
All right. Motion passes. Item D, 2001 HRPP Grant Administration Refunded Boundary Realignment.
So you remember this coming to you a while back when I think Greg Cotty said, hey, I see we got a refund here. Well, the long and short of it is that this goes back a few years ago when I mentioned to you about when is a grant not really a grant. A discussion came up at one point a while back about this particular grant. And I asked Terry to do some research, and she did. And from that research, we ended up getting a hold of the county. And very quickly, they realized that they had overpaid, or we had overpaid them for their services. So, and I think you contacted me about making sure the county took care of this, and I think I told you, gee, they'd already JV'd the
JV the same day.
same day. And from this process, so basically this is correcting an error that has now put some money back in the district's coffers. But it also came up as an interesting opportunity to talk with the county with regards to, and you have a green copy, a colored copy
Right,
here, about our boundary map. Because what happens when I said a grant's not necessarily a grant, the district entered into an agreement that basically says, look, you don't have to pay the county back, but what could happen is this is going to affect your future park and lieu fees, because that's really where the money is coming from. So we're going to, instead of you paying us back, we're going to actually, I think it's $100,000 that we have, that eventually we're going to have to get from you from park and lieu fees that you're going to generate from a new development. So I sat down and talked to Judy Robinson, and I told her, I said, my concern was that the way the map was set up, that the Silverado Park project, and there's going to, just so you know, there's going to be another development or two adjacent to it, and it's just a few years behind this particular project. And I was concerned that, gee, we're going to lose park and lieu fees from these projects to pay off this obligation that we have. And I asked her if there's any way what could we do? And she says, well, we could redraw the boundary of what part of your district would be impacted by these fees owed to the county. So the green copy is to show you that we shifted in the upper, in the north area of the district, that's where the Silverado Park project is. You guys probably know all this stuff already. And the other two are right next to it. So what we did was we excluded those projects out of this obligation. And so in the green area, any development that happens down there in the future, we're going to have to pay them back. But here's the beauty of it. We owe them $100,000 in development credits. Well, the longer we make this wait, we get more bang for our buck, because we're going to get more for as our fees go up, we're going to get more money, and this means that these become less valuable. Does that make sense to you?
Right.
So why take it for today's dollars when I can make it dollars 10, 20 years from now, but I don't have to pay them $100,000 where it might be $200,000 in value. So what we did was we excluded the areas where we know the development is going to take place in the near future, so we don't have to pay it back. The whole idea is, I hope we never have to pay it back. It's not a financial obligation to the district because it's tied into the park and lieu fees. It only has to be paid back when you develop in those areas. So we excluded the north section where the development is going to take place. If a developer comes in and wants to develop in the green area, well, then we're going to have to pay it back, or through the credit, which is we'll get less money is what it is.
Right.
And so I thought that was a smart way of dealing with it, so we don't have to pay it back now, and in the future, that $100,000 is going to, just the inflation and everything is going to